Senator Jennings, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, distinguished members of the committee. For the record, Senator J.B. Jennings for Senate Bill 583. 583 is about stability, transparency, and accountability for Marylanders with developmental disabilities and the families who support them every single day. Over the past several years, the Maryland Developmental Disabilities Administration, or as we know it as DDA, has implemented repeated and sweeping policy changes to self-directed services with minimal notices to families, participants, providers, and support teams. In recent months alone, major revisions to these self-directed service manuals were issued with as little as 14 days' notice. A waiver amendment was released with only a 30-day public comment period. In one instance, a new policy was announced after it had already taken effect. These have detrimental effects to these families. In November 2024, there was a sudden waiver change. It happened again in May 2025 and in October 2025. Each time, families were forced to rebuild services in a matter of days, adjusting staffing and budget overnight, and respond to complex policy shifts without meaningful stakeholder input, all while trying to maintain stability for individuals with these disabilities. Again, this is a huge impact to these families and these individuals. Self-directed services are built on the principles of autonomy, person-centered planning, and family partnership. Yet DDA's current practices destabilize teams who are simply trying to keep people safe, supported, and engaged in their communities. Families are left scrambling, staff fear losing their jobs, participants experience disruption in daily supports that are critical to their health, their safety, and their independence. At a time of financial uncertainty, the last thing these families need is policy uncertainty layered on top of that. This is a critical shift. A manual is an internal guidance and can be updated quietly. That is the concern that many of these families that are here today that's what we hear about. I know many of your offices hear about it daily. You know, when these changes come in, that they don't have time to adjust. That's what this bill does, is it gives them a chance to read it, understand it, and enact it or deal with it. Families are asking for time before these changes take effect. They're looking for transparency and stability for their daily support. I understand that DDA has implemented or submitted an amendment. I have talked to them, trying to work with them on that. I know my bill has it at 90 days. They're trying to bring it back to 30. I'm hoping that we could try to find a median there, somewhere in there in between. I just ask this committee to please look at these families as they come up and they testify, understand what they have to go through. They need some type of notice and time to act, to at least give their insight to DDA with these changes when these manuals come out, so they can give their insight to say, hey, this is going to work, this isn't going to work, how are we going to adjust it? Because these things happen rapidly. They don't have time to adjust. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I ask favorable consideration, and with that, I'll turn it over to my panel.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Senator.